Well, mine aren't. I cleaned up enough puke in my basement. It's kind of like, get it out of your system. And we are in studio. I'm Christine Bentley with Kate Wheeler, and our guest is Ann Dowsett Johnston, who is talking about her book, Drink, The Intimate Relationship Between Women and Alcohol. One of the things that was fascinating was you're saying that in the old days, many European countries, there was not a drinking age per se, and kids were allowed to have a little bit as they grew up, and it was never the forbidden fruit. So it was never this sort of, oh, I'm 18, go out and get drunk. You say that has completely changed now.
Yeah, that has completely changed, and even parents in Italy will say to you, it's changed here. It's not what it used to be. So there is this notion. I think some of it started on television, some of it started with Sex and the City. That's a bit dated now, but there was image of a woman who had a Cosmo in her hand, no matter what she was doing, even when she was choosing Jimmy Choo's. But it can't all be laid at her feet. This is a cultural shift, and alcohol advertisers are finding their new audience on Facebook, on Twitter. They are not relying on television anymore. They are reaching out with social media to get the next generation. It's a very, very different climate. That's called pull marketing. So you're not sitting at your TV turning off an ad. You are going to the computer. You're 15, 16, 17 years old, and you want to be part of the Smirnoff Club. And that Smirnoff or Bacardi emails you back as a person. So that's a very different kind of relationship. Pull marketing is where the alcohol industry is focused, and it's really important to be aware of it.
Well, you have a new term that I'd never heard of before, drunkorexic?
Right.
What is that?
Drunkorexia is a mixture of eating disorders, bulimia or anorexia, and drinking heavily. And you reserve your calories for alcohol. If you're anorexic, it's deadly. This is a really scary thing, and it's on the rise in North America. 3/4 of those who suffer from anorexia or drunkorexia would be, or practicing it, are female. No surprise there. But 1/4 are male, and so we can't just say it's the girls. It's a very scary thing, and it's hand in glove with pre-drinking.
I mean, some of the people that you talk to about their things, like Marion Kane,
right,
food editor at The Sun, and then at the Star in Toronto. Tell us a little bit about her story, because it was a double barrel thing. It was alcohol and pills.
Alcohol and pills, and she, was very brave to give me her story and to share it in the book. And when I wrote my series in the Toronto Star, it was interesting because I had a call to action saying, let's show the faces and voices of recovery, and very, very few people wanted their names used. People would say, yes, I will, and then they go home and speak to their family. So Marion is one of a handful of people in the book who used her real name and talked about her increasing addiction to both pills and alcohol, and she is, as I am now, roughly 6 years sober. So it's, in her case, it was numbing, as it was in mine, numbing feelings of anxiety and depression. And over as I went through my book, and the youngest person talks about drinking at 9, and the oldest person talks about drinking at 84 in my book. So there's a wide range of women. Over and over you would come at the issues of trauma, at depression, at anxiety, and the notion of self-medication.
But it's all about banishing the demons, as opposed to...
Or numbing them, at least.
Right. I mean, we drink to celebrate, reward, relax as a culture, and certainly marketing will tell you that if you drink, you will have a great time and have great friends and get the great guy. I mean, that's in essence what marketing tells us, and that just, as we all know, is not the case. We think we know, but I would say it's surround sound advertising, that it is like wallpaper, and we've absorbed the message. And You know, you go to, I'm not sure we used to go to baby showers and have wine served. Things have really changed. We are expected to know how to handle it. And if you were a person like myself who finds themselves, as I did 6 years ago, sober, you have to really work hard to navigate first year sobriety and figure out how to enjoy yourself. It's not for the faint of heart.
So the government stepped in with tobacco
Right.
and marketing. So
Right.
what do you think needs to be done, what more needs to be done with alcohol?
In 1997, the CRTC stopped previewing advertising about alcohol on television. I think, and I've gone to Ottawa and spoken to the health minister's office, I think that's the first thing that should be reinstated. I think that's really important because there still are a lot of ads. Alcohol ads on television. We are very, very fortunate with having a monopoly, so the pricing is not, there's three big levers, and one is pricing, one is marketing, and one is availability. Alcohol is I don't think belongs in corner stores. There's lots of evidence we've known for years that the availability of alcohol and the pricing of alcohol, and England's a perfect example where alcohol is as cheap as water, cheaper than water, cheaper than milk in the grocery store, and it's not a coincidence that people are they have a health crisis. They have a huge public health crisis. It's very, very cheap in the States. And you can connect the dots to increase problems. So we do some things very well, and Tim Hudak's notion of $1 beer was terrible as far as I'm concerned.
So what would you like to see the government do?
The pre-screening of ads definitely should be the embracing, I would say, of, say, the LCBO as a monopoly. That means no blowing in of sale flyers in your Saturday newspaper. Food and Drink's a very different thing as a magazine because it has a lot of food in it and it's a beautiful magazine. But those flyers that advertise rum is now on sale, that isn't in keeping with a monopoly and a monopoly culture. So I'm not trying to rain on anyone's fun. I just think that you're naive if you think that isn't pitched young. It's pitched young, and it's pitched at a population that they hope will drink for a lifetime in an extreme way.
What about young people? How would you target them? Because I think young people today think that they're savvy and that they're not getting sucked in by
Right.
By advertisers, that they're navigating all of that. They're gonna go and buy it on eBay because they're not gonna pay the over, etc.
Right.
How do you get them to realize that they are the target?
I've done a lot of speaking in high schools and at universities, and this is a very, very savvy group. And when you talk to them about the fact that they're being targeted, they're not happy. I would go further, though. This is a group that, when I was in a high school recently, in 2 classes, asked how many of the kids had dealt with alcohol problems at home, meaning their parents. And more than half of the class put their hands up. These kids are aware that trouble can come with alcohol. They've lost friends to alcohol as young as those kids were in grade 12. And I think that just talking to them about being savvy, talking to them about the internet, social media is important.
And how has your life changed since you've been sober?
I'm the most Ann that I've ever been. When you fall down the bunny hole of alcohol problems, you really find yourself bankrupt spiritually and emotionally and physically. And I have put my life back together. I've always been a writer, but I was able to write the book I really was meant to write. I've lived with alcohol issues since I was about 3, and I'm very proud of this book, and it's amazing the number of readers who reach out to me. So my life has changed radically. I'm now working at Pine River Foundation, which is a facility in Shelburne for 13 to 19-year-olds with addiction problems, and trying to put my money where my mouth is to help young people who get into trouble with addiction and can turn their lives around, and they do at this facility. So I'm trying to I'm a member of Faces and Voices of Recovery, which is a national group, focuses on Recovery Day, saying this is what recovery looks like. We don't need to hide in church basements. We don't need to be invisible. This is what recovery looks like. people who are happy and fulfilled and pay their taxes and live good lives, not just that revolving door of addiction never ending. So it's a different life.
And tell people quickly where they can get your book.
Everywhere in bookstores, online.
All right, and Dowsett Johnston, thank you very much for coming in and telling your story and helping raise awareness for all of us.
Thank you.
Helping us keep an eye out on our girls.
Thanks for
Beautiful
having
book.
me.
Beautiful book.
And we will be back after the break talking about food labeling, which is heading for some much sought after changes. And with that and more on the health front, Bonnie Monday after the break. Stay with us here at Sirius XM channel 167 for What She Said.
Thank you so